Hello and welcome back. In this video, we are going to create a provider, and in that provider, we are going to add the different functions that will enable us first get the current position using the Ionic geolocation plugin, and also we are going to create functions that will enable us search for current weather information for a particular city. And also we are going to create functions to get the forecast weather information. Now, to create this provider, let's open VS Code, and in the terminal we just need to type Ionic generate provider. Then you can give it any name. For me, I'll call the provider weather. So Ionic generate provider weather. Then I hit enter. This is going to create the provider for us. It's going to create a folder called providers, and inside that folder we are going to have another folder called weather, which is going to contain the file. So now the weather provider has been created. Now if I close this here, you can see under the pages we have this providers folder, then a subfolder called weather, and inside the folder I have this weather.ts file. Now if I open this up, you are going to see we have the HTTP client here imported from Angular Common HTTP, and we have this injectable from at Angular Core, and we have the at injectable decorator. Then we're exporting a class called weather provider. So right now we just have the constructor inside the class. Now for us to get started, the first thing we need to do, let's go to our browser. Then we go to Ionic framework. So let's see the geolocation plugin and what we need to do. So from the Ionic framework here, I'll click on developers at the top. Here, I'll click on developers. So under developers, I'll click on native plugins. Now from these native plugins, we are going to search for the geolocation plugin. We've already installed the geolocation plugin, so let's just see how we can use it. So I'll search for geolocation. So that is what I have here. We are not using the background geolocation, but rather just the geolocation plugin. So here, as you know, this allows us to get the device's location, such as the longitude and the latitude. Now we've installed, and we've also added it into the app.module.ts file. Now to make use of it, I showed you how you can use it like 2 videos or 3 videos before this. First, inside the file where we want to use it, we need to import this geolocation plugin. So I'll copy this here, copy this out, then go into my weather.ts file. I'll paste inside the weather.ts file. Now what we need to do next is to inject this geolocation plugin into our constructor. Let me change this to private. So we'll just inject into our constructor. So I'll bring this down. Then here, private, I'll call geolocation of type geolocation. Now we added the geolocation plugin and we injected into our constructor. Let me take this out. I don't need this. Now the next thing I need to do is, if we go back here, there are 2 ways or 2 methods we can use. The first method, which is get current position, we get the current device's location. Then we have another one called watch position. Now we can call this if we want to be notified when the user's location changes. Then we can use this watch position method. So it's just going to watch for the device's location. If it changes, then we are going to be notified. But we are only going to be using this get current position for now. Now you can see it returns a promise, but we are not going to do it this way. We're just going to use the async await method. So if we go back now, right here, inside this weather.ts file, then right at the bottom here, I'm going to create a new method, and the new method will return this get current position. So what I'm going to do is I'll say async then get position. This is the name of the method that I'm creating. Now you can call this any name you want. So async, because we want to use async await, we can either do it this way, call this .geolocation.getCurrentPosition.then, but rather we just want to use this async await method. Now inside here we just return this .geolocation.getCurrentPosition. So this is how we are going to use it. We are using the async await method. Here we need to add await. So if you don't want to use this promise, then you can use the async await method to call the function. So this is what we are using. Now before we use this file, let's go into our app.module.ts. Inside the app.module.ts, you can see that automatically the weather provider that we created was added into the app.module.ts, and it was added into the providers array. So you can see it here. Now, wherever we need to use this method, we need to first of all call this weather provider class. So since we want to use it inside our home page, or rather at this point we want to use it inside our app.component.ts. So we just need to add, because this app.component.ts will be on every page that will be created in the application. So what I need to do is inside the app.component.ts, we can import the weather provider class. So I'll just do import, then weather provider. So let me take this out, then I'll bring this one down here. So I'll bring it down. Then we need to inject as well. So I need to bring all of this down here. So I'll say private weather of type weather provider. So now we've injected the weather provider into the constructor inside the app.component.ts file. Now to call this method, which is the get position, we can either do it inside the constructor, or you can do it inside of one of Angular's life cycle events. Now the life cycle event that I'm going to use is going to be the ng after view init. So first, inside here we want to import it from Angular core. So we'll say after view init. Then we here. So here what we need to do is export class my app, which is going to implement after view init. Now the reason why we are using this after view init, it's because we want whatever we are going to add inside the lifecycle event to be rendered or called whenever the page has fully rendered. So that is why we are using the after view init lifecycle event. Now that we have implemented it, so we can just come down here, somewhere here, we say ng after view init. So first of all, we imported the after view init from Angular core. Then right here we implemented the after view init. Then we are calling the ng after view init. So whatever we are going to add here will be rendered or will be called once the application has fully loaded. So right here, to call the method that we created inside our weather.ts file, which is this get position, right here we are going to say this.weather.getPosition. You can see now, because this we are using the async await method, right here we are going to use the then. So we say then we can say data. Now inside, let me do a console.log and I'll call here data. So what we did simply was we use this ng after view init. Then inside we're calling this method we created, which is this get position, using this.weather.get position. Now since it's returning the promise, we are using .then passing this value, which is data, and right here we are doing a console.log. So the user's location will be displayed right here in the console. Now, before we test this out, if we go to our weather.ts file, you can see here that when we created this provider, it automatically imported this HTTP client from the Angular common HTTP. But if we go into our app.module.ts, you can see here we don't have the HTTP client module. So for us to avoid getting any errors because of this HTTP client, what we need to do is we either import the HTTP client module into the app.module.ts, or we can just comment this part here and also comment this part here. But because we are going to be using the HTTP client, what we need to do, let's just add the module inside the app.module.ts. So I'll say import HTTP client module from @angular/common/http common/http. Now we have a HTTP client module. We just need to add it into our imports array. So I have it right here inside the imports array. So I'll save this right now. Then we need to go into the browser to test this out. So I'll open the browser now. Right here you can see that the page is reloading. Now it's requesting for us to allow so that the application would know our current location. So if I click on allow, then I open up the browser's console. Right here you can see we have the positions being displayed, the positions. Inside the position we have the coordinates with accuracy, altitude, latitude and longitude, and also it has timestamp. But what we are going to get is this latitude and longitude. So right now you can see how we can get the latitude and the longitude of our device's current location. Now you can decide to create another method so that we use this watch position. As I said previously, this watch position will just watch whenever the device's current location changes. We are going to be notified with the new position, that is for the longitude and the latitude. So now that we have the method inside our app.component.ts, now the reason why we are doing all of this inside the app.component.ts is because the side menu will be added to every page that will be created inside our application. So that is why we are doing all of this inside the app.component.ts. So from the next video, we are going to see how we can use this data